And we're live with Falak Shaiikh. She is an intuitive energy healer, a relationship coach, and an author who helps women heal, grow, transform, and manifest love they deeply desire. She's also the best-selling author of two books, The Soulmate Mantra and Wounds to Wisdom. Thanks so much for being here, Falak. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me here.
And how's your day going so far? How is Toronto? I'm very close, but still.
You never know. It can change anytime. It's Toronto, right? So it's going good, but you never know. It can rain, it can be there can be sun, and it can be cold again. So you
Yeah,
never know.
definitely experienced four seasons in a day in Toronto
Yes,
and around
absolutely.
Canada.
Not in a year, but in a day.
Yeah. So yeah, let's get right into it. So um, we gave a brief intro, but if you could walk us through what it is you do, how you help people, and your work.
Yeah. So basically, I'm an intuitive energy healer. I'm also a best-selling author of two books that you mentioned already, The Soulmate Mantra. So the first book, The Soulmate Mantra, was about a women's guide to finding love. And this is exactly what I can say my area of work, where I help women manifest a soulmate relationship or process through difficult times in the relationship or help them recover when a relationship has ended or when they are going through a breakup. So this is my area of work majorly.
And you said, do you also include the energy healing? You said you're an intuitive healer, so
Yeah. Yeah, so the work that I do is definitely in the area of relationship, but the way I help them is through various healing modalities that I'm already certified in. So basically, if I go a little bit in my background, I'm a doctor back home of homeopathy, and I did my MD in homeopathy. So again, homeopathy is an alternative system of medicine where actually the medicines work on the energy of the person. So I always saw human being as not just a physical body, but way beyond it. That is, it is comprised of mind, body, and soul. And there is the energy that actually, when gets disturbed, causes disease in a person. And also, when it comes to energy healing, one of the system of medicine that is homeopathy that helps in energy healing, but there are also other healing modalities like energy healing modalities that can help person heal at the level of mind, body, and soul. So when I got to understand homeopathy at a deeper level, I started looking for other things that could have an impact on the energy of the person. So I came across a wonderful healing modality called theta healing, and through which you can connect to the seventh plane or into the theta mind waves, like theta brain waves, and you can change the belief system and the limiting beliefs of the person. And when I started practicing it for myself, I saw a huge shift in myself and transformation. So I felt called out to teaching it to people, and so that more and more people can unblock themselves or can like step away from their limiting beliefs. And so I became a teacher of theta healing. I started doing workshops of theta healing along with my practice. And then gradually I came across other healing modalities as well, like emotional freedom technique, that is the tapping technique, or the Reiki healing, and ancestral healing, and transgenerational healing, and family constellations, and you name it, and I have done it all. And I ultimately realized that basically these all are tools to help release the blockages in the energy that is being created due to the wounding or the trauma, which might be from the childhood, which might one have while growing up, or it can also be of the past life, or it might be generational trauma that person is going through. And this all creates blockages and inability to open themselves to experience love or have love that they truly desire. So what I do is I intuitively, whatever is necessary in that moment for that person, I use those tools in order to help them move from where they are stuck in their lives, right? So I kind of like, design individual based uh, ways that would help the person depending on whatever is needed in that moment for them to release that block in that moment, right? So this is what I actually practice in my sessions with my clients.
Perfect. Wow, that's a lot of different modalities. I was trying to keep track, but he said theta, Reiki, but they've all helped you tune into your own intuition and your
Yeah, and basically then, like, it is simply like as in meditation, like, you have different techniques that leads you to the state that you want to reach through meditation. So meditation itself is a way to achieve a place of calm, of being like, a Buddha mindset or a Buddha state where you are in awareness. And meditation tools, like different techniques of meditation, actually leads you there. So basically these all healing modalities are like, just tools to get you to a place where you like, where you can reach in order to heal yourself of all the wounds and the traumas that you have experienced in your life.
and your primary clients are coming in for relationship healing, and then you work with blocks within themselves as well. So
Yeah.
among the modalities, I'm just curious if you could tell me which ones you use the most, because I guess part of me is that left brain side just wants to, wants to
Yeah.
know each one. But I know
Yeah.
it's much deeper
Yeah.
with you and with
Yeah.
people who do this work.
Yeah. So, like, I have majorly work with women. Yes, I of course work with couples as well, like, men and women, or men who come first in order to address the issues in the relationship. But majorly, yes, I work with women because I also resonate with my journey. I can see the resonance that women have with my journey as well of finding my soulmate relationship. Me unblocking myself, letting go of my wounds and trauma. So that is what I also have narrated in my book, The Soulmate Mantra, right? So when it comes to relationships, at times due to the woundings that we have in our childhood or the relationships with that we share with our parents, all those impact or build up a belief system that either they might believe, oh, I am not beautiful, or I'm not good enough, and I don't deserve to have love that I desire, or I have to compromise in my relationship. So these are the things that would let the person manifest a relationship where they have to compromise, or that would bring in toxic relationships in their lives. So unless and until you let go of these beliefs and this woundings around themselves, so ultimately the modalities that I use is definitely the theta healing that help you to change your belief system, but it also includes a lot of inner child work, like, where you kind of whatever disintegrated inner child you have in yourself, actually these all disintegrated inner child shows up in your relationship, right? You are no longer that 25-year-old woman when you are in relationship, but you become that 5-year-old child, or the little girl that is craving for love and attention, and this shows up in your relationship. So unless and until you integrate this inner child of yours, you are unable to build a healthy relationship or attract a healthy relationship in your life, right? So it also includes the inner child work. It might include, like, I also I help women in resolving their issues with their father or their mother, like what we call it as the father or the mother wound, right? So it is also like, I believe that for a woman, when they are looking for a relationship, like, when I or all the any person who identify themselves as women, but when they are looking for a partner, usually it happens that their relationship with their father is something it is the first masculine energy in their life, and if you have a troubled relationship with your father, you tend to repeat same pattern in your relationship. So if you had a father who was unable to provide you all with all the needs as a child, like, and or had a father who had abandoned the child, this little child will grow up with all the insecurities and fear of being abandoned. Or so this woman might go out in the world to attract a relationship where she is abandoned again and again, or she would be unable to trust a man that he would be able to stay, or he would never abandon him. So she would go out and walk with trust issues. So basically, I hold space for women to help them look within themselves, into their relationship with their parents, so as to resolve those wounds and traumas, let go, forgive, so that they are able to attract a healthy, divine masculine man in their lives.
Oh, that's amazing. And so I imagine you went through that process for yourself, and you said, I saw a picture, looks like there's a beautiful wedding picture of you and your husband, your partner, and it's you can sense the love and feel the love. So how was your journey, and how did you heal yourself? If there, I imagine we all have
Yeah.
some wounds. So how did you get to
Yeah.
a place where you can help other people?
Yeah. So basically, growing up back in India, I had a very conservative father, and who was very controlling and dominating. And we had a patriarchal kind of um, environment in our household, where my father was the major breadwinner and my mother was a like he she was a homemaker. However, when I saw growing up my father being dominative, I've strived for being independent, because I didn't wanted a man who I would depend on, because I saw man as being dominated and oppressive and suppressive, right? So I went out in the world being a woman who is hyper independent and who doesn't want a man uh to dominate her at all. And because of that, because of that, my fear of being suppressed, the first man that I had in my life was extremely dominating, because of my unresolved issues with my father. Only later on, when I started introspecting within myself and I stepped onto the journey of healing myself, I realized that I'm holding these traumas and wounds and fear, the fear of being suppressed from my father. And unless and until I resolve my issues with my father, I wouldn't have a relationship. I cannot attract a relationship that I truly desire. So once I understood and I resolved my issues with my father, and we my father has now passed away, but we had a beautiful relationship before he passed away, and I could truly tell him that I loved him, right? So only when I was able to make peace with my father, I was able to have a relationship or attract my soulmate relationship with my husband, of where I know that it is not about uh, it is not about the fear. Once I let go of that fear of being suppressed as a woman, and when I dive deeper into my feminine essence and coming from a place of empowerment rather than fear, I was able to have a man who was a divine masculine man, who could be there and allow me to kind of be right, instead of a man who is dominating and suppressing.
Oh, and and you learned that first for yourself, or the inner work stuff, and
Yeah.
was it
Yeah,
through schooling?
it has definitely, it has been quite a journey, because the first person, if I have to hold space for somebody to go within themselves, I need to go into the depths of myself. Only then I would be able to hold space for the other person to see. So if I am a very intellectual person, and I'm only in my thoughts and in my mind, I cannot hold a person for space for someone who wants to share their feelings, right? I would try to analyze them or try to give them solutions. This is what actually men do, right? They try to pitch the solutions and they try to fix things for the women. But if I have to hold space for someone who can dive deep into their feelings, I need to be touched in my feelings as well. I need to do the healing first in order to hold space for someone to provide or to facilitate that healing for somebody. So I always believe that definitely, as a healer, as a coach, you need to do the work for yourself first, and only then you are able to hold space for your clients or for your friends or for your partners. This is what I truly believe.
That's true, and that's something I've heard from very wise people, and I'm sure you're one of them.
Yeah.
In terms of, sorry, briefly, you mentioned homeopathy, so you've done a whole like an MD, a doctorate program on it. So it's Dr.
Yeah.
Falak. So that's
Yeah.
you so yeah, how's is that something you still use, or how does that work?
Yeah, so basically back there in India, where I graduated from, I did my batch 4.5 years of bachelor's, 5.5 years of bachelor's, and later 3 years of master's in
Wow.
homeopathy. And I practiced as a homeopath. And back in India, homeopaths are considered as doctors. So
Yeah.
I entitle myself as doctor as well, and however, when I moved to Canada in 2018, here in Canada, homeopaths are just alternative medicine homeopaths. You are not entitled as doctors being homeopaths. So yeah, I do use homeopathy for anybody who have challenges with their health or mental wellness. So that is something that I completely trust on, and also not just for my family and friends, but whoever seeks homeopathic approach or alternative medicine approach in many chronic diseases and also in acute cases in children. It is very helpful. And also, I feel that that is not different from what I already do, because everything is actually energy, right? We are, as humans, if we go to the deepest cells, ultimately what remains is the energy. And once the energy is balanced, you can be healthy, you can be mentally stable, emotionally stable, and you can work towards your goals. So ultimately, that is, being creating balance in your system, and that can be through homeopathy or through any energy healing modality.
Cool. So it's not a service you offer though, right? Like it's more friends and family. So the primary service would be like the relationship coaching, but through that it
Yeah,
encompasses
because
all the other things, I guess.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because the thing is that when in 2018, when I moved to Canada, I was still in the process of getting registered as a homeopath, and
Right.
that took a lot of time.
Mm.
And during that process, I was exploring myself of what I want to be, what is that other things that I want to explore within myself. And one thing that came up was writing a book, and that was the time where I took advantage of having that gap for myself, where I started writing my book. So later on during the lockdown, also I utilized that time to get my book out. And since the first book came out, even when I was writing it, when people got to know about what I'm writing on, and I told about that it is about manifesting relationship or manifesting a soulmate relationship, I started getting clients who were ready to work for the area of, in the area of their relationship, or they had been going through a breakup and they needed support and guidance to get back from recover from that phase. So automatically I moved and shifted gears to shifting my work to mentoring and coaching and holding space for women and helping them with manifesting a soulmate relationship or processing through a difficult phase in their life, in their relationship. And that became my area of work.
Wow, that's such an organic way to go into a line of
Yeah,
work. It's just you do what
yeah,
you love and
absolutely.
then it just happens.
Yeah, yeah. So it is something like, it was not that I started doing this since 2018, because even back in India, when I was practicing as a homeopath, I was already seeing clients for the purpose of healing, holding space for them and coaching them and mentoring them. However, the gaze shifted when my first book came out, that was around relationships, and all those techniques and guidance that I have presented in the book, people wanted to have a first hand experience in my sessions. So that became majorly my area of work. So right now I help women with one-on-one private mentorship, as well as I have my group programs going on. So currently my group program that is going on is Awaken Codes of Feminine Magnetism, for women who want to attract a divine masculine man in their life. So that is one of the programs that is going on currently, and also my one-on-one mentorship that goes on uh, uh, around the year.
For the group coaching, is it sort of weekly? Is it fairly so?
Yeah. So the group coaching is a 6-week group program
Yeah.
where we meet every week. We do a live session. It is around a 2-hour live session, and I facilitate the sessions. I at times also invite any guest speakers, like guest speaker who can hold space for all of us in the group program, in the container of that group program. And we have then weekly to do things like tools, techniques and exercises or meditation processes that person can use, like women can use during the week for further integration. So that is the we are on, like I am already 4 weeks into the group program, so we have 2 more sessions going left for the group program.
Cool. And for your clients, how long do they typically work with you? Or I guess it varies, but typically, like what do those sessions look like, and how long do they on average run?
Yeah. So for one-on-one sessions, what I do is I believe that, like, I used to do individual sessions before, just 1 or 2 sessions, but later on I realized that you cannot fix your life in a session or two, right? You
Mm.
need a certain level of commitment, and I need a certain level of flow, like, where you can, because healing, I believe, happens in spiral. It's not a linear path. Like, when you pull out it's like peeling an onion. So when you pull out one layer, there is another layer that emerges. So even when I realize that when I do one session, there is something that surfaces, and if that is being missed, the like the healing cannot progress. Like you cannot move from one point to next point in your life, and you are like left at where you were. So I believe that you need a certain level of commitment. So I the first thing that I ask is if the person is ready to commit, right? And what that commitment looks like, either a 3-month mentoring or a 6-month mentoring for my clients. So within that 3-month mentoring, we meet each week, and it's like a gentle hand holding from for a person to take you from point A to point B in your life, right? So we unearth whatever is the wounds and the traumas that person have gone through, and with going through various aspects of their life, going from their family to childhood to, like integrating the inner child and the father wound and the mother wound and the generational healing and ancestral healing. So we cover all those aspects during that 3 months, meeting each week, doing a 90-minute or 2-hour session. And then I also help them with integrating it, because I believe that healing can be done at an energetic level, right?
Mm.
But ultimately, the action taking has to be done by you. I can help in releasing those stuck energies in the person, but ultimately that action taking has to be done by you. If you do not act out of your newer belief or newer self, then you are going back to whatever it is, right? It, or whatever you were at what point. So if so during the week I make sure, or like I'm that accountability partner that would help you integrate those healings that we have done during the sessions to taking action out of the healed self, the new actions that you have to take out of the new self. So suppose if we have worked on that week on holding boundaries and learning to say no, and if you again go into the pattern of not saying no, or like being as you were, or being a people pleaser that you were, then you are again finally falling into the same pattern of what you were. So during the week, it is like I have a SOS call at times with the client, or I would be just on the WhatsApp. I would communicate and like be there as a support to tell them, help them to integrate those lessons and learn to say no. So when you have that accountability, or a little push, a little gentle push from someone, it is easier for you to step up, like into a newer version of yourself, because that is new, that is scary, and you haven't done that before. So you need that gentle push, I believe. So this is also a little hand holding where you are being pushed to go into the newer version of yourself, so that you don't fall back into your old belief systems, right?
Awesome. So, wait, does that mean you're on call? How about you say, like, I mean, so people can reach out to you during the
Yeah,
week?
so I'm available. Yeah, I'm available on WhatsApp, like
Okay,
during the
perfect.
week.
Yeah.
During the week I'm available on WhatsApp to communicate with them, or to share their small wins or challenges that they are going through, and to give that little push in that
Hmm.
week.
Yeah.
So we are, so in that 3 month container we are doing the sessions, but we are connected, like, kind of in a way that it is kind of an ongoing support for that 3 months.
Like then, um, are people like, if say they sign up for 6 months and they're done in five, or does that happen? Or, I guess some might take even longer, but
Yeah, actually it is completely, like, because I believe in a completely feminine way of working, like, so I do not have very strict structure to, no, we have to do this. At times it happens that, like, when we have integrated and we have learned certain, that powerful integration has happened during one of the weeks, so I ask the person to, like, give a space for its integration, and we meet after 2 weeks instead of a week. So at times the sessions might extend to 4 months instead of three, but I'm open to that change, because that would be the most helpful thing for the person, where they can get time to integrate. Or at times also, if, like, at times when the person is new in diving deeper within themselves, it is very overwhelming for them when suddenly everything surfaces, right?
mm,
So they are, so for them to meet it, like, to meet me in just the next week is overwhelming itself, right? So what we structure it out as that we do bi-weekly sessions, and we continue it for 6 months, and then we plan it and structure it around, like, around them, whatever their requirement or whatever their need is in that moment, and their where they are at that moment in their journey.
oh, that's awesome. I like the fluidity, the
Yeah,
flexibility. It's
yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's good. Sometimes I feel like we've built up a lot of structures that are primarily have more masculine energy over the last,
yeah,
and across the world, maybe more in Western society, but like across the world,
yes,
that's you're from India. That's my background too. I've been there in terms of that. Do you think we're switching more to a more feminine or incorporating more feminine energy as we've moved along with as women have become more empowered and there's
yeah.
you think that structure is dismantling? Is that changing for the
Yeah.
better? Do you see that happening around the world or here?
I though I don't see that happening at various places, but I feel that this is the need of an hour. Like, this is what is needed in this moment. And the more we dive into a feminine way of leadership as well, like, that can really enhance the productivity, the capacity of the person to do things, or to achieve things. I totally believe that, because right now in my personal journey also, I felt like, as I said, that I had a lot of wounding from my father, and because of fear of being suppressed, like, I feel that women go into a mode of being hyper independence and being more masculine. And
Mhm.
that has been my journey as well. I would not blame other for doing that, but because I have been through that, like, and I've seen, because of the suppression of women that has happened since years, like, and it has happened all over the world, not just in India or any other Asian countries, but it has also happened in the West. And
Yeah.
recently only I got to know that it was only in 1946, I think, that a woman could independently hold a account in a bank in a country like Canada.
Wow.
So it is like, forgive me if I'm giving a wrong date,
Yeah.
but it was very recent that a woman in Canada could have their own bank account without a signature of their husbands. So it is not just in the East that the suppression or the disempowerment of women have occurred, but it has also been in the West. And because of that, like, the collective consciousness of women of being suppressed and being oppressed, women have shifted onto the other side of the
Mm,
pendulum, where they try to prove themselves that they are equal to men, or they have become hyper independent, and their ways have become more masculine.
mm,
And now only with the shift that is happening, that women actually need to come back to their center, where they are neither being too disempowered or wounded feminine, or and neither they have to be the overly masculine way in their being. Rather, they can be into their feminine self, which is an empowered feminine self. And coming from that space, I believe, like, even like, talking about um where, and just like, because the feminine energy is the one that holds the inspiration, the ideas, the visions, and it is the masculine energy that takes action. And like, and irrespective of the gender, each one of has the masculine and the feminine energy, right? So if we are in tuned with our feminine energy as a man or a woman, we are able to have ideas, vision, intuition, guidance, the inner guidance. And if you have a balanced, healthy masculine energy within yourself, you are able to act on those guidance and visions and create and manifest beautiful things in life, right? So definitely, actually, it is also about bringing and being in balance with the masculine and the feminine energy. I think, I hope that answers.
No, that was a brilliant answer. I really liked how you spoke, touched a lot of points, stuff that I talk about with my guy friends, my female women friends, and the pendulum sometimes swings too far one way or the other, and it doesn't help. It's about finding the balance. It was brilliant how you put it all together. I'm gonna
Yeah.
replay that for some friends, and
Thank you.
uh,
Excuse me for my cough.
no, no, bless you. It's change of weather. It's like we had some sun and then it got a little cold again, right?
Yeah, it's almost raining here.
Yeah, it's cloudy. I'm like 40 minutes away and like
Yeah.
downtown. Um, but yeah, so your business has been going on, this version of your business for about 3 years. Sounds like you've been a leader, or you had to take on the role of leadership, partly uh, embodying your father, partly rebelling against that energy. So that's a fascinating dynamic. Um, but yeah, what does leadership mean to you today, and how do you kind of empower people to become the leader that you are?
So I truly believe, like, that I can only inspire people to come from a space of, and I truly believe in feminine leadership, right? So I can only inspire people to do that if I have embodied that within myself, right? So even when like, even in my if I, being a spiritual entrepreneur, what I call myself as, like, I believe that instead of coming out of a space of mind and from a logic and analysis, and okay, what should I do next, what goes on in the market, and let me see what works and what doesn't work, and let me have a strategy, and then I can pitch myself, and then I can have launch my program, and then let me do this way. So I for me, I feel that that is a masculine approach of doing things, of hold of being a leader, of being a business, like, of doing business in a way. However, from a feminine space, if I say so, recently when I had to do my group program, I just I wanted to see what is inspiring me the most, what feels most alive in me, and what is ready to be delivered through me. Like, tuning into your creativity, tuning into the inspiration that you receive from a higher source, and what is feeling alive in me. So recently, when I was about to launch my this group program, Awaken Codes of Feminine Magnetism, I wasn't sure of this, and I wanted to do it on a Valentine's Day because it is about relationships and everything. So my mind said that, okay, you can repeat the masterclass that you have done before. That was the Manifest Your Soulmate masterclass. And okay, it's Valentine's, so it would work. Like, let me do this. That is the logical mind, right? That tells me, okay, let's do this. This works. And but when I sat with myself and I tuned in within my feminine energy, I realized that it seemed the energy of that old masterclass seemed dead to me. And the new thing was churning in me and holding space for women to help them dive into their feminine essence. And this is what I was processing in myself as well, right? So when I sat with myself, I knew that this is what seems alive in me. This is what I really want to do, and this is what I want to work in, and this feels really juicy in a way, right?
Mm.
And I literally postpone my date. Like, I don't want to do on this date. I have to do the creatives, the landing page, and all the back end things that is left. So let's postpone a little bit. Maybe I can announce the masterclass on 14th of Feb. If I don't do it, I can do it in the month of March. So this is what happens when you are tuning in. You are not just creating out of what you are not doing things for the sake of doing things, but your being is into it. So right now, when I'm holding space for women for my group program, it is completely guided and a channel process. It is like it is flowing through me rather than me doing it. Right. So this launch of masterclass is from a completely feminine space. So tuning into yourself and seeing what's alive, what's present for you in that moment, what is coming through you, being connected to the source, and seeing what is being, where you are being led and where are you being guided, right? That actually helps you to be into a space of feminine leadership, right, where you are not letting. And also the feminine leadership, like even the masculine, if I talk about masculine leadership, the masculine leadership that is going around right now is a very toxic masculine leadership, honestly. It's like, imposing things on people. You have to do this, you are supposed to do this, rather than allowing people to make choices. And my husband works in IT, and now they are completely going into the healed masculine leadership, where they are holding space, where they are building teams, where they are being allowed to make their own decisions, where they are being allowed to bring forth ideas, and where they are not just pushed in certain direction and they are not being imposed with certain decisions. So basically this is all about bringing in balance with the masculinity and femininity, and coming from a space of healed self rather than being in that um, not being the Donald Trump in a way, right?
Yeah, like some people say it was useful for the feminine movement because so many women marched, but no, not getting so many women
Yeah, but
marched against what he said and did or
yeah.
totally did. But yeah, no, that's brilliant. I agree with a lot of that, and I feel like for me personally, tuning into the heart space helps. I think in all aspects, just with spirituality or being more present
Yeah.
and yeah, not to shut off the brain, but it's like
Yeah.
what you're saying really
Yeah, so it is
resonates.
not like, it is not like being into feminine leadership doesn't mean that you are not accessing your mind and your brain or ideas or structure. But it is like, it begins from the feminine, and then all the action taking, bringing the masculine forth, then bringing the structure in, and bringing the structure around it, so that, like, it is completely in balance. Like, it is not just a chaotic thing, like,
Mm,
at times
yeah.
only being in the feminine and not bringing the masculine forth, and not creating the structure or direction, or it is also important in a way. Even the masculine is necessary, right, in order to create something. It is both the feminine and the masculine.
No, absolutely. I agree. And I'm
Yeah, but
still
just
finding
like,
that
sharing a
balance.
little bit. Yeah, sharing a little bit about my journey of
Yeah.
creating something, like, when it comes to manifestation or creation or being a leader. Like, when you are holding a vision and then taking action over it, rather than taking random actions, like,
Mm, yeah.
haywire into any direction without any vision, because then you are reaching nowhere.
Fair, fair. Um, I guess this ties in. You were talking about your husband and how it's the kind of building a community like those early Google offices. So it's and in your own way with your clients and with fans of your book and all of that, how have you built community and how does that look and how is that journey of your community growing? And if you could talk a little bit about community to you and how.
So definitely, like, for me, one of the things that I'm working towards right now in my community is helping women to um, dive deeper into their feminine essence. Like, helping them understand that we are not against the masculine. We are not, but we have to work in sync with the masculine.
Mm,
So for women, because of the, like, because of the resentment that they have towards the men, they are trying to work against the men, right? And that is also like, in a way, not helpful. because in a way we need the masculine energy as well, we need the masculine presence as well. So once you deepen your journey within the feminine and come from a empowered space, or come from a space of being safe within your own self in your feminine, you would be able to allow the masculine to take a lead, right? It when a masculine leads around the feminine, usually women feels threatened because they feel that they would be suppressed. Only when you feel safe in your feminine, and when you are deepening into your feminine essence, and you come from an empowered space, you also can allow the masculine to lead. You can build in that trust in the masculine to lead. So right now my journey in my community is to help women own their feminine self, to come from an empowered space and work in harmony with the masculine, whether it be masculine within themselves or even with men outside, so that they are able to build that trust. Only when you have that trust in the masculine, you can have love. Like, you can allow yourself to be loved by the masculine and be led.
Yes, no, that's and in terms of your community, say people who were in the past part of your classes, could they reach out to each other for support, or is there some kind of setup like that? Or
Yeah, absolutely. I have like various Facebook groups. I have groups.
yeah,
I have WhatsApp groups. Like recently, I'm having holding a group program. So we have a Facebook group about the group program. So we have a lot of sharings,
mhm,
wins that we share. We share our journeys, and it really helps to connect. And when you I had been working just one on one with women before, but this is only with this group program that I started working in a group setup. I have uh, people who have I worked one on one as in my Facebook community, but also with this group, it helps to build in that community, because when you see another person going through your similar experience, you can find a resonance, and you can motivate each other to work towards a similar goal that we all have during that setup. Excuse me. So
yeah,
that
I
community.
like that aspect because sometimes the
Yeah.
teacher, it's easier to share with someone who's a student sometimes in class, just
Yeah.
be growing
Yeah.
up like.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's,
Absolutely.
um, but yeah, what else has been chatting? But there's That's what I want to ask about spirituality for you. You mentioned the modalities. Do you have what practices do you say regularly do, or is there some, I know they might have changed, but is there something you credit with staying connected to divinity yourself or the higher self or something like that? And what practices do you follow or faiths, if
So,
any?
yeah, basically, I believe, it is your inner connection and the presence and the awareness that you hold. It really helps you to stay connected with the source as well. So the more you are present in this moment, it and whatever brings you into the present moment, whatever connect, brings your awareness back to yourself. So it might be just a walk in the park, or it could be, for me, I definitely go for walk in the mornings, connecting to the nature. That is one of the ways that bring helps me bring presence back to myself. And doing any movement, it can be yoga, it could be exercise, it could be, for me, I am a practitioner of yoga, so that is something that brings me back to myself, connects me with my body. And some breathing exercises that helps me bring back that presence into myself. So that is a way. So I believe that anything, that nature is one of the ways that helps you bring back to yourself. Or also any kind of movement, it can be through dance, it can be through yoga, it could be through tai chi, qigong, whatever calls out to you. So some doing something for your body and letting it move, because our body is energy and we need that movement, that flow to happen when
Awesome.
we are sitting for long hours in front of the screen
Yeah.
especially.
No, that's awesome. And let's see, we can do our, I know we've chatted, I've been trying to keep this at a good time, but so far we've done pretty well. We've covered a good amount. Oh, yes, I wanted to ask you about your book and how I know you mentioned it briefly, but it's, I mean, two
Yeah.
books. Did you have any? I know you're very educated, 8.5 years post secondary, but how do you go from writing a book? Did you have a background? What, like, how'd you get there?
Um, I had a desire to write a book someday, and back then when I was I had my full-fledged practice as a doctor, I did not have the time to invest in, like, to write a book. And also I had young kids at that moment in my life, so my center of attention was around them. It was only, like, when I had that space and I was no longer a doctor, kind of, you have that disidentification that happens when I moved to the West, and that title was taken away in a way, because you are no longer a doctor in here. So it was like, where you have moved from having an identity of yourself for years, and suddenly then you have that gap where you do not have that identity of yourself, so you are like, now what? And I had that time and gap for me, which helped me, like, of course that was quite painful as well for me, because, like, for the years that you have put in to create that identity, and then you have to let go of that identity. But then I realized that that gap helped me to build a new identity for myself, and this was something that really wanted to do. So I invested my time and energy into writing this start writing this book during in later at the end of, I think, 2018 or beginning of 2019. And then the and only in 2020 I went back to India, and then the whole lockdown happened, and for 9 months I was stuck in India because there were no flights and the lockdown thing. And that was the time that I utilized basically in writing the book, because I was with my family and I had a lot of time and I could focus. So yeah, that made that that really moved something inside me to bring out as a form of the book, sharing my experiences, my journey. And basically through that journey, like, sharing about my journey, I wanted to inspire women that you don't have to give up on love, that it is possible to have love that you deeply desire. Because nowadays I've seen that most women have lost hope in love, that they feel that it's not possible to have a man that truly loves them. It is just that it is like, they cannot trust men or stuff like that. And through that journey, I that is the book that shows you that it is you that needs to change, and rather than blaming it on men to be not good enough or not trustworthy enough, it is about you, that you need to change within yourself. It is your beliefs, it is your worth, it is you not accepting yourself or not loving yourself enough to have a man who can love and accept you for who you are. So basically the journey is within, it's not without. It's not like randomly looking for men outside and just being disappointed, but it is going inside, seeing what you truly desire and what is stopping you from having what you truly desire, and working towards it.
No, that's deep. That sounds like a really good book. Instead of just reaching out, first reach within and then reflect that or
Yeah,
mirror that. It sounds
yeah.
so where can we get the book? On Amazon, or where did
Yeah,
you
it's a
publish
it's
it
a
first?
bestseller. It's a bestseller on Amazon, so you can get
Wow.
both of my books. Like Wounds to Wisdom is a multi-author book, so I have written that book along with 8 other women, and all the proceedings of the book, The Wounds to Wisdom, goes to a trust in India that is involved in education of the underprivileged kids.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so and the first book, that is the Soulmate Mantra, A Woman's Guide to Finding Love, it's also available on Amazon, and that is the first book that I wrote as an author.
That was 2020 as well. That one.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm definitely going to look that up. And if you wanted to, I know you could get a peek sneak maybe on your website, a little bit, a blurb.
Sure, sure. And
Yeah.
both are bestsellers on Amazon, so that is
Wow.
amazing as well.
Yeah, that's quite the journey. You've had like lots of different lives almost within the one life.
Yeah.
Um, um, yeah, so now I guess because I'm trying to keep it within the 45-minute 1 hour mark, we have a rapid fire. It'll just be a bunch of I'll say a word. I want you to say a word or a sentence that comes to mind. If there's
Okay.
anything you don't want to reply to, you can just skip it or pass, but they're all, it's basic stuff. Hey, so we'll try and squeeze those in like 2 to 3 minutes, so we're still.
Sure. Uh-huh.
Okay, so crystals.
I love it.
Okay, gurus, mentors, and shamans.
I trust you. I have trust in them.
Do you have a personal mentor or guru, real quick, that you want to recommend or that you want to share?
Yeah, I completely have a mentor or a healer. She's in India. Her name is Kamal Rukh,
Cool.
and she's amazing. She has guided me. She was my teacher of theta healing.
Oh,
She
wow.
was the one who introduced me to theta healing. So yes, definitely, I recommend her. I completely trust in gurus and mentors.
Perfect. Um, magic and energy healing. I know you do some, but still, it's in my magic.
It is magical. It is magic where there is no logic, right?
Perfect. Science and esotericism,
Sorry, science
and like esoteric.
I think everything can be understood in the background of science.
Perfect. Thank you. We've got the state of the world today and the direction it's heading.
It's scary yet hopeful.
Cool. Resonate. Kind of asked you this, but ways to connect with divinity or your intuition.
Tuning in within oneself and acting on it. If you have an intuition, act on it. The more you do it, the greater and louder it gets.
Psychology and philosophy.
I don't think they are different. They
Oh,
ultimately want to say the same thing.
and sex is a tool of spirituality, just sex.
Of course, definitely it is, but it is unexplored by many.
Psychedelics and herbs and diet in general.
I can have another episode on psychedelics for sure. I have tried many of them. I had an amazing experience and journeys with psychedelics, and I highly recommend.
um, angels and channeling.
I do that, and I
Okay,
completely believe that.
awesome. Any angels in particular you resonate with or that you talk to?
The first angel that I channeled was Archangel Metatron, and
Mm.
it was around in 2020 during the lockdown.
What else? Yoga, Tai Chi. You mentioned you're already a yoga practitioner, but any other
Yeah,
thoughts on that, real quick? Um,
that is way of being in a way. Everyone should do it, I believe.
uh, aliens.
Absolutely present.
Perfect.
Just you are being blinded by the government to not see them.
Like astrology.
Yes, it's a science. However, I do not know much about it.
Sacred geometry.
Definitely, I'm a huge fan of sacred geometry, and it is also one of the ways of healing yourself.
Singing, chanting, and dancing, I guess, separate, but
Yeah, these are all the ways that you can connect to the divinity.
breath work and meditation.
Absolutely recommend.
Yeah, I think that covers the body. I think you spoke about embodied stuff, but body
It's a divine temple.
and God.
Creator, presence, creator of all that is what we say it as.
Perfect. No, thanks for doing the rapid fire. I know it's good you took time to answer them, but I love those answers. Thank you. Last three questions. What makes Falak the happiest in any given day?
When I'm able to hold space for someone and when I witness their transformations, that makes me the happiest.
Oh, yes. And what are your most consistent or persistent thoughts in any given day? What has the most airtime in your brain?
Recently, I'm more into tuning myself into my heart rather than having the thoughts of it. So, like, I try to move from a more mind space to a feeling space, I feel.
And yeah, lastly, if you just your last words, a message to humanity, to myself, to the listeners, just a final message from you to wrap things up.
I believe we can have, achieve, or manifest whatever we truly desire. The only thing that stops you from doing that is you.
God, thank you, thank you. That was awesome. I still do, namaste. I respect and appreciate,
Thank you
salute the
so much.
divinity
Thank you
within you.
so much.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much for
much.
being here. Loved it. Thank you. Bye, everyone.